right, so welcome to the journey. It is Monday of championship week. We're talking with the best left back in League One, Damia Viador. So let's start. Dami, what was the first time you kicked a ball that you can remember?
So I remember being probably 4 or 5 years old, and from there I've continued to kick ball. And my mom saw that I was a good player, and then I kept on playing.
Nice. So where were you born?
I was born in Barcelona, Spain, and I've been living there my whole life. But I came to the U.S. like 2 or 3 years ago.
I talked to Coach Mike Brown recently, so I got some very Barton-specific questions to ask you later. But
all right.
Let's. So you first start playing at 4 or 5. Your mom recognizes some talent. What happens next?
So the next immediate step is I inscribed to my school futsal league, 5v5 futsal, and I played for like 2 or 3 years in my school. And my mom keeps saying that, we should do something about you. You're very talented. And so I went to an open tryout for the Barcelona Academy. And at that point, I was like 7, 8 years old. And I remember being there, and there were like 300 kids. And only 3 or 4 of us got selected for the Barcelona Academy, and I remember that day as one of the happiest days of my life. I remember when a letter came to my home and basically explaining that I was signed by Barcelona and that I would be playing there.
That's crazy. What? 300 kids in an open tryout and only 3 making it. That's insane. So what changed at that point? So you're going to school, playing futsal. What changed? Like, who do you start? I mean, do you still live at home? Like, tell us what that becoming part of the academy was like.
Yeah, so basically, there's you can go either to when you sign for Barcelona, you can go to La Masia. You probably heard about La Masia.
I have.
Players basically sleep there. Barcelona pays for everything for these kids, but normally the players who go there are people who are from outside of Barcelona, or their parents have trouble bringing them to practice or whatever. So I was still doing my normal life. I lived home with my parents. They would take me to practice, and I would still go to school in the mornings. But yeah, as I say, my life changed completely, and I was very, very excited about what my journey was about to become in soccer.
I would imagine. So, did you grow up watching Barcelona like before? So is that like, as much of a dream can be at 8 years old? Like, was that the dream?
Yeah, definitely. Even my father had brought me to the Camp Nou Barcelona stadium before I signed for Barcelona. All of my family had a membership, and it's like playing for Barcelona. If you're from Catalonia or from Spain, it's like the biggest thing you can achieve, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty fair. So what? How many for the uneducated, such as myself, how many folks are like in your class? Are you training with on a day-to-day basis at Barca?
Yeah, if I remember, we practiced for 4 days a week, and my team was guys from my age. We were probably 17, 18 players, because at that time we played 7v7. Because we were too young to play on big soccer, But yeah, we practiced 4 days a week and then a game on the weekends.
It's unbelievable. That's awesome. So you're with a pretty elite group. Anybody in that first few years you were there that really is notable?
Yeah, there's a couple guys There's Carles Aleña. He plays in first team Barcelona now. And then Dani Olmo. He plays for Red Bull Leipzig. So yeah, I would say those two players are the most noticeable players I've played with.
Yeah, that's crazy. So how long were you at the Barcelona Academy?
So I was 5 years there, from 8 to 13.
Okay.
Exactly, yeah.
And then what happens at age 13?
So at the age of 13, I went to another club called Cornellà, which is a very good academy in Catalonia, and I played there for like 5 years maybe. And yeah, till I was 16 or 17, more or less.
Nice. Anything, what was the sort of the highlight of your time at the other club whose name I definitely can't pronounce?
My first youth year, or still in like under 19 stuff?
Oh, yeah. So like you're at
Girona?
That's the one.
Yeah. Okay.
So
yeah, I played. So when I finished playing for Cornellà for 5 years, I still had 1 year left before like moving to the amateur level.
Okay.
Girona signed me, which is now a club in second division in Spain, but they had a pretty good under 19 project, so I went there. And then after that, my first youth amateur year, I played for a third division club in Spain called Europa.
Awesome. So I'm a big fan of cycling, and so I'm very familiar with Girona, since that's where like all the American pros who live in Europe live. So.
Nice.
Yeah. I've never been, but I've heard more about there than like literally any other place in Spain. So, awesome. So it sounds like you played a lot of places. How did you end up coming to the States?
Yeah, so I was playing, as I said, in third division in Spain, and I was about to renew my contract with that team, but an agent reached out to me because I tried to go to the U.S. When I was 15, 16 years old, but it just didn't sort out, and I kept playing in Spain. So he reached out to me again when I was 18, I believe, or 19. And are you still interested in going to the U.S.? And I said, yeah, why not? Let's try it. And yeah, I went to the junior college level, and that's where my journey started here in the U.S.
Yeah. So we'll loop back to that in a minute. But I want to talk through sort of your time in second division and your time in third division. So, at what point did you start playing against adults, and in front of huge crowds, or crowds of any size, really?
Well, crowds of any size. In reality, when I was 8 years old, I remember a final I played, we had like 3,000 people there watching. It was Barcelona against Valencia. We were little kids, but the level of soccer we played was amazing. But when I started playing against adults was when I was 18 years old. Okay,
so you're... sorry, I usually take notes, but I haven't been. At what point did you... So you played for Girona. What division were they, and how old were you? Sorry.
No, in Girona, it was still it wasn't amateur level yet. It was still like academy.
Got it. So it wasn't until you signed in the third division that you were really playing,
exactly,
against people on pro contracts.
Yeah, exactly.
So were you on a pro contract, or were you just on, tell me about the mechanism that allowed you to come to the States and play?
No, I was not on a pro contract.
Okay.
Because there's some kind of if it's your first year after academy, you can sign I don't know what it's called in English, but a different kind of contract, and you can still play for a third division club in Spain. But yeah, there were people in my team who were pro. The youngers normally didn't have a pro contract, but yeah, usually that's how it works.
Nice. I mean, I think it's probably similar to the homegrown contract for USL here, right? Where like you can sign, maintain your eligibility, play 1 year, and still go on to college.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nice. So the story I heard from Mike Brown, I forget why I called him. I think I was doing research on a homegrown academy or a homegrown contract article, and so I ended up talking to Mike Brown. He said his story of picking you up at the airport was pretty crazy. So tell us about like how you ended up traveling across the world and ending up in Kansas.
Yeah, so my first intention was to go to a D1 program.
Always.
But apparently the NCAA, my eligibility, as you said, was not clear because, I played at third division. They looked into my profile and everything. So we decided just to not risk it, to go to the junior college level. And Mike showed lots of interest in me, and that's where I went. What I cared most about was studying and playing soccer. I didn't care like if it was in Kansas or Florida. I didn't care. So as soon as Mike called me and he explained me his project and everything, I was very, very clear on that. I wanted to go there.
Nice. Yeah, if you'd cared about where you go, you never would have ended up in Kansas.
Yeah, probably not.
That's all right. I've never been to that part of the world, even though I live pretty close to it. So I don't know really what I'm talking about here. But so the actual flight itself, it sounded like you got in super late. Where'd you fly into?
Oh yeah, so I was supposed to go to Wichita.
Okay.
And I ended up, I knew obviously, but the flight was just better to get it to Kansas City. So from Great Bend, Kansas to Kansas City, Missouri, there's a 4.5-hour drive. And so I had to pick up a Greyhound bus. And that bus took me to McPherson, which is about halfway through. And that's where Coach Mike came pick me up. And yeah, I got there like at 5 in the morning, and I remember it was super long ride, but yeah, that's how it went.
Well, and then apparently you just crushed the fitness test, is what I heard after you got there.
Yeah. I mean, it's been already 2.5 years ago, but I don't remember exactly, but yeah.
Well, yeah. He was impressed with your effort. So, had you ever been to the United States before?
I had went to Vermont when I was 11 years old. I was there for 6 months because my middle school offered a student exchange program. So I went to Vermont with a host family for 6 months. It was an incredible experience. And I still talk to my family. So if they're hearing us, which I doubt it, but if there's any chance, I just want to say hi to y'all. I still remember you.
That's amazing. Shout out to your host family in Vermont. Where in Vermont did you stay?
Burlington.
Okay. I grew up in Connecticut, and so I went a couple times to Vermont as a kid for vacation, but we stopped going like when I was in 6th grade. So I've been to Vermont, but it's been a long time.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a nice place.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, so season 1, Barton College. How does it go?
It went pretty well. I mean, I was still getting adapted to like the culture. Getting up at 6 a.m. even earlier. It was tough for me the first 3-4 months, but eventually I got used to it, and we did a pretty good season. We ended up losing the final in the national championship, but I'm happy about the first year. It got me to learn a lot of things.
Yeah, and so you a point of much discussion was where you ended up. You ended up 5th all time in your single season for assists at Barton College, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, I think I had 15 assists my first year. And
yeah, that's crazy.
Go ahead.
No. That's nuts. Anybody you were playing with at Barton go on to any careers of note at this point?
I have a friend that is not a pro yet, but I'm sure he will be in a couple of years or so. He's called Nicolás Torres. He's from Chile, and he also came to Iowa Western next year. We'll talk about that too, but yeah, he's an outstanding player. He's playing now for Missouri State University, so yeah, I have really high hopes on him.
Yeah, no, they had a good season last season at Missouri State and sent a few guys out into the pro world, so I'm sure he's, pretty darn good place.
Yeah.
So, tell us a little bit more about sort of the journey to a national championship game. Did you know going in sort of this is one of the best programs, or like was it a surprise to you? Was it? I guess was the success expected? Let's start there.
Well, if I'm honest, I didn't know anything about junior college at all. Like, I didn't even know what I was expecting from that team before coming there. But as soon as I saw Nico, for example, Roberto, lots of teammates from all around the world, I remember my first week in practice, I said, damn, we have a pretty good level. And yeah, we won. I don't remember the record we had, but probably like 16 games won and only one lost, something like that. It was crazy.
How did the level of play compare to what you'd been doing like the year before?
I would say it was harder in Spain, but because there's more tactical play, more, I would say, intelligence. But in here, it's very physical, so it's also tough. So it's different. Let's say it's different, but I expected the junior college level to be lower than it actually is.
Yeah, fair enough. So that summer between junior college and, I guess summer between Barton and Iowa West, you end up, you play in Duluth. How'd you end up in Duluth?
So my parents told me that I had the option of staying in summer because we talked about it, and they supported me. They told me, if you want to stay, it's your choice. And then I talked to Mike Brown. He told me, you can stay in Minnesota, in Duluth, for the summer, keep playing soccer, and then you come with me to Iowa Western. That's what I did, and it was a pretty good experience, too.
How was, I think you're maybe one of two players on the team who played NPSL. What did you think of the level? What did you think of the level of play there? Let's start there.
I would say it's pretty similar to the junior college level.
Okay. And then what was... go ahead. I want to know more.
No. Yeah. I was just saying pretty similar. The only thing is, you get to play against older players too. But rather than that, it's pretty similar.
Did you guys play against the Bug Eaters?
Who are those? Which club is that?
Yeah, fair enough. So it was they've played 2 seasons. They played their first season in Lincoln, and then they played last summer in Omaha. But they're 4th division, but they're independent. So they didn't play, last year they played an independent schedule, but they played a bunch of NPSL and USL 2 teams. So I didn't know if that was
I don't recall having played them.
Yeah, that's fine. I would imagine if you'd say come back to Omaha to play a game in Morrison, you would remember. So let's assume they didn't without bothering to look it up. So you play a summer in Duluth. How's Duluth? It's a place I've always wanted to go.
It's very cold there. I can say it's very cold, but the landscape is beautiful. We got very well treated there. We had a big house with a garden outside. We used to play there. I was with Nico. You know Nico, I mentioned it before. He played with me, and it was a pretty good summer. I mean, we only went to practice and did some jobs with the parents, but I wanted to keep playing soccer, and I'm proud of having stayed there in the summer.
Yeah, no, I think that sounds great. So then Coach Mike gets a different job, ends up at Iowa West. You go with him. What's that process like? At what point do you land in Omaha or in Council Bluffs ready to go?
Yeah, so once we finished the season with Duluth, we got a bus to Omaha, and I think it was beginnings of August of 2019. And at that time, I already knew that Iowa West was a big school, incredible facilities, and I was very excited to start my sophomore year there.
Nice. And then you guys have pretty darn good year again. How many folks were new? How many folks were already there?
So we came 5 players from Barton to Iowa.
Okay.
And then the group that was already there, probably only 10 new players, and the rest of them were already at Iowa the year before.
Okay. So that's a pretty good job on Mike Brown's part of blending everybody together and sort of getting everybody on the same page and up to speed. And did you guys make it? How far did you guys make it that year or last year?
We went to the national championship.
Okay.
Again, and we lost in the semifinals against Monroe College.
Fair enough.
And yeah, I mean, we won our first game. We beat Muskegon College 7-0. We had very good feelings about ourselves, but then Monroe, which ended up winning the national championship, beat us. So it was kind of a bummer, but it was still a very good season for us.
This seems like as good a time as any to run back over your entire career and talk about positioning, because it occurs to me that I've forgotten to ask you this. It's one of my usual questions is, what position are you playing? So we know you're left back now. I'll just work back in reverse chronological order. What position were you playing at Iowa West?
Iowa Western, I played left back, but we played a 4-4-2 diamond. So in the midfield there was a diamond, so there weren't really wingers. So I had basically the whole left side for myself, and I was starting as a left back, but we were an attacking team, so I was more of a left wing, I could say.
Yeah, because you had some ridiculous number of goals last year, right? And you don't have to acknowledge ridiculous. How many goals did you score last year?
If I'm not wrong, I think I scored 9 goals and had 12 assists last year.
Yeah, I think it was. I mean, I remember being at the club and Jay's talking about you, and we're all looking up stats and we're like, oh my gosh, this left back has 9 goals. Like, are you kidding me? That's insane. But so interesting. So did you play left back at Barton?
Yeah, I played left back at Barton too. Yeah, Mike always saw me as a left back.
Back in Spain, 3rd division, what position are you playing there?
Okay, so yeah, back in Spain, it depended on the coach I had at that moment, but I was alternating in between left back and left wing, and sometimes even I played left mid, depending on the circumstances of the game, what our needs were. My coach would adjust me into one position or another.
Excellent. You're left-footed, obviously.
Yeah.
At what point? Trying to figure out what I want to ask here. I guess I don't know enough tactically about soccer to really ask an intelligent question here. So I'll ask: do you think your attacking skill set or your defending skill set is sort of your better skill set? Like, are you a great attacking left back or are you a great defending left wing?
Oh, that's a good question. Comes
from a complete lack of knowledge on the subject, so.
I would say I'm a good attacking left back and a good defending left mid.
Fair enough. You played, well, we can get to Union Omaha. But we're talking about positionally. So you played, by my estimation, maybe 55 minutes of left midfield this year for Union Omaha, and you scored a goal and assist in the first 20 of those. And then, was it the game in Wisconsin that you played left midfield?
Yeah.
That that didn't seem to be the best day you had out there. What do you think happened in that particular game?
So yeah, I remember having scored the week before. So Jay came to me and said, "We're gonna try you out there at the wing."
I mean, I think at the point you come on for 20 minutes and score a goal and an assist, I believe I wrote my pregame column, you have to try this. It has to be tried.
Yeah, I remember reading that article from you. And yeah, I mean, coach came and told me, but obviously we look at the stats and my first half wasn't great. But also the game was a very close one. There weren't really a lot of chances. And I didn't find my ideal spot inside of the field. But the second half, I came back to my left back position and I played better, I believe.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think so too. I don't, not asking you on this show so I can criticize your play. Please.
No, of course. Right. Yeah.
But, I mean, I think it was, I thought it was interesting, and I don't want to, put anybody's performance against Madison on trial because I think they just find a way to snuff the life out of all things good in soccer, so we'll just move on. But, okay, so growing up then, are you playing left back at 8 at the Barca Academy?
Yeah, I started playing left back. When we were playing 7v7, we played a 3-2-1 formation, and again, nobody in front of me on the wing. I had the whole left side to myself, and that's where I started playing.
Interesting. And I mean, I think even now for Union Omaha, you're providing a lot of that functional wing play. A lot of your touches are in the opponent's half along the left wing. So,
yeah.
Growing up, who's your favorite player?
It's always been Messi since I was a kid.
Yeah, fair enough. Is there anybody, are you watching, at what point was Dani Alves there? How old are you?
He was, when I signed for Barcelona, I think a year later he signed for Barcelona, something like that.
Okay. I was going to say, is there, are you patterning your game after Messi? I forget it. Are you trying to play like Messi or Dani Alves or just playing your own style?
No, my role model, I would say, in my position, I would say is Jordi Alba.
Okay.
He also, he played in Barcelona when he was a kid before going to the first team. Then he played for also Cornellà, the academy I mentioned. before, and he always was like my role model. And he has a very similar like attacking style than me.
Beautiful. Love it. Okay, so at what point, well, I kind of know the answer to this. So I know by the time you guys are in the tournament, you're talking to Jay, because I remember him flying out to the national, like to the finals in California, basically to make sure nobody else snatched you up. Like at what point, well, who introduced you to Jay for the first time? Let's start there.
Coach Brown.
Okay.
He told me, there was this new USL team in Omaha, and the coach was, trying to find good players. And I think a couple of weeks after Jay came to a game, and that's when I met him for the first time.
Nice. So, what does that last year at junior college look like? Like, I mean, now it seems like a foregone conclusion that obviously you should have gone pro. Great call, but like, are you getting D1 offers? Like, what is, were people still concerned about your eligibility? Were people willing to roll the dice? Like, what is that process about what's happening in 2020 look like in 2019?
Yeah, okay. My first intention was to go D1 after transferring from the JUCO level, but the problem of eligibility came up again because the NCAA said I would lose my first year of eligibility.
I'm rolling my eyes. No one can see this because it's a podcast, but I'm rolling my eyes. Continue. And
so I was worried, because I was trying to go to D1. I didn't have any other offers at that point. I didn't know about the Union Omaha offer, so I had universities calling, very good universities, but they would tell me, if you're gonna lose your first year, then we cannot give you a good scholarship because you'll be on the bench the first year, and then you'll only be able to play on your senior year. So it was a hard time.
Interesting. So kind of out of the blue, then, like, this offer to go pro comes from Jay. Did anybody else, did any other folks reach out?
I had NAIA schools reach out because with NAIA, I wouldn't have had that problem with eligibility.
Interesting.
So that was an option too. But, we talked with my family and my brother and my close friends, and there was really nothing to think about it because it was, I've always wanted to become a pro soccer player. And, I took it, and I think it's gone well till now.
I would say that's an understatement, but, that's okay. You can be humble about it. I'm not gonna rag on you for that. I think it's gone pretty well. So, usually I've been doing these as written pieces, and I don't always know where I would start writing, but I think for you, I think I would have started with that moment in Chattanooga, right? You're playing at before lunch at Chattanooga, and what happened in the tackle where your ribs got broken?
Yeah, so basically the opponent stepped on me with his... First, he stepped on me with his whole stud in my hip. Then he realized that, he was going to hurt me, so he bended his leg. And while he was bending his leg, he hit me with his knee in all my ribs on the left side. And, imagine I was sprinting all the way, and imagine having a collision like that. It was very painful. And I was screaming. I was screaming in pain for 10 minutes on the ground. And after the halftime, I know that I couldn't keep playing.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was impressed. Once we heard the diagnosis, impressed that you'd gone back out for like even any amount of time at all. So you knew, like, did you know pretty quickly that something was wrong and you were just going to try it, or was it like the adrenaline starts to wear off and you're like, oh gosh, something's really wrong here?
Yeah, after 5 minutes or so, when the play restarted, I noticed right away, because the first I don't know 2 or 3 minutes your body is still hot, it's still with adrenaline, you don't notice it too much, but then I knew something was wrong.
Yeah, that was crazy. So you missed a couple of games. How did your recovery go?
2 or 3. 3, I missed 3, yeah. 3.
All right. Yeah, because you missed the game in Fort Lauderdale where we turned things around. So you okay, so let's, what was the recovery like? Could you sleep? Could you eat? Like, I'm hearing about it, and all I'm thinking is like, oh my gosh, all this kid is going to want to do is sleep, and he's not going to be able to because his ribs are going to hurt so bad.
Yeah, the first 3 days were awful. I mean, I couldn't even move. I was like, I have to go to make some food, but it's so painful to get out of bed. it can wait, but those were only 3 days. I got better, and I went to do my X-ray with the doctor. He told me just rest all you can, eat well, and you'll be good in 4 to 6 weeks. He told me as long as you can handle the pain, you can be back as soon as you want. Well, as soon as you can handle the pain. So yeah.
Nice. Did you wear a flak jacket or anything, or did you just, you're going to go out and play 20 amazing minutes with steel healing broken ribs?
No, I didn't use anything. Justin, the athletic trainer, told me it was better not to compress the zone with the ribs. You just have to let them heal by their own, and that's what we did.
Had you ever had a serious injury before that you'd had to sort of rehab through?
No, never.
I imagine as those things go, that first one's got to be really tough, but the same time, it's not it's your knee or your ankle where you kind of just don't know. The ribs, you're again, if you can play through the pain, you're good to go.
Exactly. It was not as hard as someone would think. I know I didn't have to go through surgery or anything like that, so it wasn't that bad overall.
Well, good. I'm glad. Would not wish badly broken ribs on.
No.
So, the one other thing we haven't really talked about for all these stops is sort of what your best memories are. Okay, so like, just like what along the way, we'll just we can start. What's been your best memory this year, or is it yet to come? Anyway, regular season best memory, Union Omaha. What are you going to remember 10 years from now?
Okay, regular season without counting preseason, I would say the goal against Atlanta, obviously. It was such a great... I haven't had that feeling in such a long time. Coming back from an injury and scoring a goal after 6 minutes, being on the field. It was just amazing. And I said, here, I'm back and I can play soccer again. And we still can fight for the championship. So that's my best memory.
Nice. I love it. And, yeah, as you and I have discussed, you've maybe been a little unfortunate to not have created more goals or to not have had more goals and assists to your name, considering how many chances you've created this season. So I was pleased. I was happy for you on that one.
Thank you.
And I just, you're out there driving our attack a lot. And, it's nice to see those chances pay off. What about a preseason memory? It sounds like you have a sweet preseason memory for us, too.
Yeah, so preseason we went to the Utah tournament, remember, the Winter Cup?
Oh, yeah?
And it was my birthday, the February 19th, and we played against Louisville City. And I scored a PK, and yeah, it was really special.
Well, and I remember that that game was like the one that wasn't filmed, and it was late, right? It was like in the 80th minute. We'd been down a goal for a long time. And what I didn't find out until afterward was that you'd actually won the penalty as well.
Yeah, it was. I made a really good run with the ball. I stepped into the box and the keeper fouled me, and I scored. And imagine it was my birthday. I was still getting to know my teammates and everything. So yeah, it was a great feeling that day. Yeah,
we all just assumed that Jay was doing it to be nice for your birthday. It wasn't until everybody got back that he explained that, you'd also won the penalty. And, that makes that's a little, makes a little bit more sense.
Exactly.
So what about, what's sort of best memory from your time at Iowa Western?
I remember against was it Iowa Lakes, and I remember if we won against, we had to win against them in order to win the conference, and it was such a tough game. It was like 20 degrees outside. It was freezing, and just the team effort was amazing. We won 2-1, and I remember that game in a special way. Nice.
What about Barton? I won't make you do this for every team you've ever played for, but let's at least...
No, it's fine. Barton, let me think. Probably just winning the conference and knowing that we were going to the national championship. That was a great moment.
Nice. So,